Hello and welcome to World Tanks with me, Jack the Ripper. And today we have our Tier 8 winner. And of course, Merry Christmas. That means I'm both recording this and hopefully it should be uploaded on Christmas. And I'll explain how I'm getting daily videos up recorded on the day when anyone who's been watching me for a while knows that should sound impossible based on what you know about my internet. But I'll explain that in another video in the near future. Now, I chose this replay. There was some very good entries. I may link some in the description. I don't know. I definitely think I might link one because it was someone else's YouTube channel, and one of the reasons why I couldn't consider it was basically because it was their actual YouTube video. It's a perfectly good video. So, you know, go watch that and all that. Those good things. But this, there was one moment as well for me, which I thought, it's something that we all know, or well, I would hope we all know to do, but it's something you very rarely see happen. Now, we're in a Tier 8 medium tank that's made of baguettes. Now, genuinely, you may think I'm joking, but a baguette that's been in the oven a little too long probably has more armor than this tank. If I had a choice between standing behind this tank or a baguette that's been slightly overcooked, I'm afraid I'm standing behind the baguette. Admittedly, I quite like baguettes, so there's a good chance I might eat it, and apologies, I just headbutted the microphone. Here, we're in an interesting situation. So he's got a couple of spots, or someone's got a couple of spots, and there was some people lit up. And he's playing kind of very, very aggressively, really. Now, he's trying to use the bush to keep between him and the E100, and he even trying to make sure he's a little bit further back from it when he fires. Now, you see, he starts off firing AP, and this is the key point there, starts off. And it took me a second when I was watching the replay to figure out what actually was happening here. You'll see some very strange damage numbers come up. And that's what really threw me. And it's a very, very clever thing to do that not very many people do. Now, he's already getting some minor spotting assists because he's spotting him. But all in all, people are going to move up and people are going to do damage. And he needs to do other ways of doing it. Now, what he's doing there is something I do myself. You're getting yourself in a position so that you can run away more easily. He doesn't want to run forward because running forward is going to run him straight into their team's fire. But there you see he runs straight out of their line of fire. At which point you can do a nice... I'd say you can do a nice little handbrake turn and be fine, but he's going to keep running. But either way, he's got into cover now. He's going to come back and he's going to light them up again. Now, I think there's some real interesting tactical decisions to be kind of looked at here. And without going into too spoilery territory, there's interesting concepts on what could have been done differently. Now, E100 gets lit up again. This time, this is not him lighting it up. This is other people who are far closer, and therefore he's not going to get the thing. Now, he fires, you get an AP round in, and he does some damage. He switches ammunition in a second. See, not with that one. I think it's probably... It might be the next round. I can't remember the exact round. But what is, he does switch ammunition to HE. Let's wait for it. Wait for it. Is it this shot? Yes, it is. And you might think, well, why is he doing that? You know, he's not getting a lot of damage. I mean, that's a 30. I think the next two are in their 40s. Oh, 76. Ooh, fancy. And you might wonder, why is he doing that? And it's because it keeps him tracked. High explosive does a lot more module damage. It's one of the reasons why the HEP is so useful in things like the Brazilian Bulldog, because it has the extra penetration, so it actually penetrates into modules, but it also does a lot of module damage because it's high explosive. It's the same reason why HESH is so powerful. You know, HESH destroys tracks, and so does HE. And so having these HE rounds and using them on the tracks of an E100 is something that I probably should have done on a number of occasions, but I usually don't do. I almost always now save HE for, you know, a soft target, say such as a Sheridan or, you know, a CDC, coincidentally, blah, 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 blah. But that is not what our friend here is doing. Our friend is very much going to go, and he not very much going to, he did use it. By the way, I know it got brought up last night. It's been brought up before. Ziomski is the gamer tag. I assume I'm pronouncing that correctly. Apologies if I'm not. But yeah, so he's already got 6 damage ribbons and 12 damage assisted ribbons. Now, almost all of that E100's health is his assisted. Now, he pokes here and finds the T-32. There's a mini waffle. This is quite a dangerous position, really, and I would not necessarily stay and fight this. I think he probably was pushing his luck there. I know if I was in the waffle, I probably would have been looking to get the shot on him. But he is keeping them spotted, and that's what he's trying to do. He's just trying to poke just enough to keep them spotted. There you go, and he lost sight on the T-32, so he pushes that a little bit further forward. Risky way to do it, but he does get the spot that he wants. And you see the tanks behind him are just putting shot after shot into these guys. Now, I think here... Is he going to get... He got a bit greedy there. That T-32 is aiming at him, or was aiming at him. We'll find out in a second if he's still aiming at him. And hopefully he's going to get the waffle, but he's pushing his luck. He's really pushing his luck. But he got them all spotted, and look at them have damage he's racked up now. And then with a lovely little snapshot. See, the CDC is quite popular amongst a lot of people. I've never been a massive fan of it. I always found the gun handling to be quite poor. Then you're basically completely reliant on luck. But they're now capturing the base, and they outnumber, so there's an interesting sort of dynamic that comes into play here, where the Greens, are now having to push. Ooh, that was a big hit. I think that was someone firing HE. Where the Greens are going to have to push into the Reds. Ooh. It's interesting that you can see the calls from the other team as well on this. It's just quite nice. And then another... That looked like a heat round. But now the Leopard is dead. But he's taken a lot of health. He's taken 2 hits for almost all of his health. He's been taking 1,000 damage from 2 hits. Pretty sure he took a HE round from maybe the IS-3. Maybe a HESH round from the 215B. I'm not 100% sure. It could be that there's another TD down there I can't spot. Oh, sorry, I can't see. No, I'm not the one spotting, am I? Now, he's not noticed that he's got, I think, E5, but he gets the kill. Oh, sorry, he gets the damage on the IS-3. You can hear the artillery shells raining overhead, and that's something to bear in mind for later. But at the moment, he's got a TD who's very, very far away. And the issue that his team have run into here, and this is not his fault, but they've gone in one at a time. If they'd all gone in at once, they probably would have won this. But we've got a Jagdtiger at the back. Oh, apologies. Sorry about that. We've got the light tank on the right. We've got a medium tank trying to be on the right. And we had the heavy tank in the Panzerkampfwagen 7, who was just sort of sitting back and trying to push in from when he was exposed to multiple angles of fire. We're getting more dings. We're now into 12 damage ribbons and 27 assisted. It's done a lot of damage now. I do like that we can see what the IS-3 was calling for help. Now, there's not a lot to do here, and here's the issue. Now, personally, I know where that E5 is. I know that the IS-3 is down in the thing. I can hear where the artillery is coming from. I would have at this point gone and killed artillery. It's a fast tank. You can more than quickly get enough. He's very close to the enemy base. There's no one between him and the enemy base. And then once you've killed that, he would be in a position to come around the side of the E5 and use his accurate gun at distance, good shell velocity, and view range to keep the E5 out of harm's way. You see the E5 appears to have actually dropped. It's still in that little dip sort of area by the looks of things. He could have by now gone. The light tank probably shouldn't have charged down. It's not a good idea. And then in the background, our Jagdtiger the Jagdtiger died to the other Jagdtiger, and somehow did very, very little damage in return. I don't know. Maybe artillery was shooting at him. We couldn't really see that. But the IS-3 is now going to poke out, and I think is going to get more of a shot in the eye. And then the E5 is now going in. Oh, I said ISU, then I think I meant RU. Now, I think this is essentially where, spoiler alert, he's lost the game. And he's done so much right and so well this entire game. Over and over, he's done absolutely brilliantly. But here, he's just waited that little bit too long. And as a result, they've gone from having, they had, their team were completely separated. Their team were spread out. Their team were not able to really cover each other. Now they can. Basically by whichever team decided to support each other first was the team that was going to win this. And unfortunately, that ended up being the Reds. But now is a good time to go and kill artillery. You'll see the artillery is now completely alone. You know where the E5 is, you know where the Jagdtiger is. Now, with where the E5 is, again, here is some things where I'm going to say tactically what I would have done differently. Yes, go kill the artillery. Admittedly, as I said, I would have gone and killed them earlier. You notice he's also going to switch back to his HE rounds here. Which, again, don't blame him. I probably wouldn't have. He's fine anyway, but it's just for the health pool he's on. I think 2 AP rounds should have killed him anyway. But I probably would have tried to get the Jagdtiger here, because the Jagdtiger is at least on his own, but in the very least is non-turreted. Now, I think he's debating here going for the cap and capping himself. But his mind is changed by them starting to be in the cap first. But it's a fast tank, he can get there quite easily. I would say at this point, you know realistically that has to be the E5. Now, with that having to be the E5 and you knowing where the Jagdtiger was last spotted, this is the bit where I say he starts making sort of... They're not mistakes, they're just wrong... Actually, it's not even wrong decisions isn't fair either, because the way he does go, it could have gone any way. It's just luck of the draw. They're decisions that I would have done differently based on my judgment of risk and reward. I think going where he's going to go, the odds of spotting up the E5 without the E5 spotting you, and without being at risk of them being shot by the Jagdtiger, is quite low. The odds of being able to sort of apply your view range, your camo, your maneuverability going this way, I deem them quite low. Going the other way, there's a good chance of doing really well. You can bring the Jagdtiger out on his own. You can get the E5 from a position where you've got lots of cover in between you. You've got lots of ways of shooting at him without him being able to shoot back at you. And you're at a much nicer distance, and so you're less likely to have this happen. So the issue comes here. He finally gets a spot on him, but he's so close. You're so close when you're spotting from this position that you're completely exposed. Oh, that was close. To getting spotted by him as well, especially when it's something like an E5, which has, is it 400 meter view range? And so I think he sort of missed an opportunity here. If he'd gone the other way, there's no guarantee it would have worked, and all in all now he's got no choice but to try and poke the cap because he's running out of time. And he unfortunately gets hit. Now I've slowed it down here because I just like the visual of the fire. I think it's quite cool. But that gives us a bit of time to reflect as we start to move on to the battle results screen. I think we can all agree that was a very, very nice game, and it's unfortunate it ended up with him in a burning wreck. But that is what happened, and this is the whole point. And this is sort of why I wanted to do these sort of videos. It's how we live and learn. So that is... He said it to me as a 10,000 combined damage. I'm afraid your maths was a bit off there, mate. That is an 11,000 combined game. 7,700 plus 3,300 is 11,000, not 10,000. But that, I believe, was one of his third... He said it was his third mark of excellence game, but it's got the third mark in the game, so... whatever. Or I may be misremembering that. But yeah. 1,500 base XP on a loss. Ace tanker, 11,000 combined damage. The E5 had a good game. The Jagdtiger had an okay game. I still think he would have been better off going straight towards the Jagdtiger because the Jagdtiger was on his own. But this is the point. He's had a really good game. And I have a habit of either not make it sound like I'm a perfectionist. It's not. I am not this sort of back and forth. By the way, that, of course, is the mutant. That is what he's won. So I tend to be making either all wrong decisions or generally right decisions. And it's not meant to sound some form of obnoxious or cocky or anything like that. It just seems to be how... If I'm having a good game, I don't sort of drop off and suddenly go, oh, I made a wrong decision there. Or at least if I do, it's not recorded because I'm annoyed with myself. And I probably should stop doing that. I need to record more of those games because they're probably the more teachable games. So there, I think he made absolutely perfect decision-making, better than normally, even than most people would make. I mean, doing things like firing HE at the tracks to make sure they stay tracked, that is a really nice touch. The sort of thing that we need to see done more often. But at the end, I think he made the wrong choice. I think rather than going for the cap, he should have... it was a 2v1. He was never likely to out-cap them. I would have pushed straight for the Jagdtiger. I would have pushed for the artillery earlier when the IS-3 was hiding behind the house. Irony of that is not irony, but the thing of that is if he had done that, I couldn't remember that at that point, but he also then would have had side shots on the Jagdtiger as the Jagdtiger pushed against his Jagdtiger. So he would have turned that into a 2v1. So he would have probably had a Jagdtiger alive at the end. It means the game would have just been a much nicer, which also would have meant he would have had 1-2-1 hull down alive at the end as well. It's a simple couple of decisions which have gone against him, and that's just how the game works. And I think those are the sort of things that we can all learn from the most. But you saw the scouting, the using the bushes, the turning to run away. This was a game I think you could learn so much from. And thank you very much for sending it to me, and I hope you enjoy your premium tank whenever it gets onto your account. Obviously, Wargaming aren't in for Christmas, but I'm sure it will be there by the end of the week. So thank you very much for the replay. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've learned something. And as always, I'm Jack the Ripper, and I'll see you on the battlefield.